Soundful.
Hello, my lovely children everywhere. This is Hetty bringing you another story from Tale Waves. As you can hear, our guest today is making rather a lot of noise and behaving badly. Montford Multiple Mouse, who is part of our story today, is running all over the place and drinking out of my coffee cup. Stop that, Montford. I think he's excited about being a star. At least he behaves a little better in the story. Oh no, come down off my head. Look, I've made a comfortable little box for you to lie in. Oh, that's better. Lie there quietly. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to tell the story. You are far too excited, Montford. Today's story, children, is about a birthday, presents, dreams, fantasy, friendship, and kindness. It's also wacky and good fun. So, this is the tale of The Doll's House and a little girl called Olivia. Oh, and a mouse called Montford, of course. It was springtime, and the early morning dew shimmered brightly upon the grass of every garden. The daffodils, tulips, and crocuses stood dignified, displaying a multicoloured quilt of freshness and splendour. The feeling of hope and joy filled the air, and in the park, on the main street, across the way from the shops, a family kicked a ball about enthusiastically. One of them, a young girl called Olivia, preferred to dance around in circles, waving a blue silk scarf above her head. After a while, she stopped, as her eye caught sight of something very interesting on the side of the road. She pointed and said, "Look, Mummy, there's a skip opposite Tom's terrific toy shop. Can we go and have a look in it? We've found such wonderful treasures in it in the past." She ran to the roadside, and before her mother had chance to answer, Olivia's head disappeared over the side of the skip with her legs and feet sticking out 2 feet off the ground. "Mummy, Daddy, Freddie, come and see! It's amazing! Quickly, they may take it away today, and it's full of extraordinary things." By this time, the family had crossed the park and came and stood beside her, with Father holding on to her legs in case she fell in. Her brother, who was 2 years older and much taller, leant over the side and picked up a train. It was large and brightly coloured. His name was Freddie, and he was crazy about trains. "Pa, do you mind if I take this engine home? I've never seen one like it." Father nodded in agreement. "Let's lift up these planks of wood and see what's underneath," said Freddie. "Oh, do, Freddie! I'm so excited. I can't wait," cried Olivia. "Calm down, dear. All in good time," said Mother in her usual advisory way. Freddie lifted 2 very large planks of wood to the side. Olivia almost fell into the skip with excitement, for there in front of her lay the most wonderful, huge doll's house that she had ever seen. She was rapturous, in heaven. Oh, how could Tom throw such a magnificent doll's house away? Abandoned, unwanted, unloved, cried Olivia angrily. Please, can we take it home? I love it. After all, it's my birthday tomorrow. I'm sorry, dear. No more dolls' houses. We can't fit it into your bedroom, said her mother. Olivia knew not to argue with her parents, but it seemed unfair that Freddie was allowed to have the train. Come on, Olivia, dear. Let's go home and have lunch. I'm sure you'll get lots of presents on your birthday. He took Olivia by the hand, and the family walked slowly back to their house on the edge of the village. But Olivia was heavy-hearted, very sad, for she knew the doll's house would be smashed into 1,000,000 pieces. She told her mother and father that she'd like to stop at Fuddle's farm gate and look out over the fields. She loved the countryside. It was her second home. The smell of the soil and the cows filled her heart with a peaceful contentment. She felt the roughness of the wooden gate under her hand and listened to the gentle wind which carried the birdsong across the green stretches to dance upon her dainty ears. She thought the wind was playing tricks with her, for she heard a rather squeaky little voice coming from her pocket. Hey, you, little girl, I think you are a little sad, are you not? Oh, how adorable! A mouse who speaks, I mean squeaks. Where did you come from? Asked Olivia. She gently took him out of her pocket and placed him on the gate in front of her. He was a cheeky little thing with whiskers that twitched 10 to the dozen. He twisted his tail around the gate hinge and swung over the gate bar twice, then tilting his head to the side said, I'm called Montford Multiple Mouse because I appear everywhere, and I jumped into your pocket from the skip. I advise you not to get upset about the doll's house. It's going to be all right. Trust me. I know, he said. Do you know? I do trust you, said Olivia happily, stroking Montford Mouse on his tiny head. Why don't you come home with me? We have plenty of cheese in the pantry, and you can sleep in one of my doll's houses tonight. Yippee zippy! Accommodation for the night! To live like a lord in a mansion! Montford Mouse squealed with delight, unravelled his tail, and jumped back into Olivia's pocket, whistle squeaking as they walked down the lane, with the promise of a good meal at the end of their walk. Olivia thought it was better that Mother shouldn't know about Montford Mouse, because just the sight of a mouse made her act very strangely. Screams would echo throughout the house. So they crept in through the back door and up the staircase to her bedroom. Choose whichever one you wish to sleep in, Montford, laughed Olivia, proudly presenting her houses. Oh, do call me Monty. It's less of a mouthful, said the mouse. And with this he jumped out of her pocket and disappeared through a window of one of her largest doll's houses. After a long lunch, clearing the garden and homework, Olivia said good night to her parents affectionately, going first to find a piece of cheese for Monty and then made her way to her bedroom, pondering on her strange adventure today. Poor Olivia! She searched high and low for Monty, but he was nowhere to be found, so she lay down and fell asleep. And she started to dream. Before her eyes, a very large doll's house started to appear. The name above it was Montford Mansion, and at its doorway stood a finely dressed mouse, wearing a splendid hat with a feather in it. He carried a walking stick and a basket full of cheese. Olivia spoke to him. May I come inside your house, kind mouse?" "Of course, but I'm afraid you're too big, so you'll have to stay out there, but you are welcome to some of my cheese," said the mouse generously. "Oh, thank you. I love cheese. You know, you do remind me of someone." She scratched her head with one hand and took a piece of cheese with the other. She opened her mouth, eating it very slowly. Suddenly, she felt her whole body start to tremble, and her skin was getting tighter and tighter, and her clothes were getting smaller and shrinking. Within seconds, she found herself face to face with the finely dressed mouse, who pointed out the way through the door. Olivia had shrunk. She was the same size as he. Inside the house, a fire was glowing in the fireplace. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling, shining like diamonds. The walls were papered in a rich red and gold wallpaper, and a grand piano stood stately in the corner of the room. Sitting at it was a lady mouse with bright green hair, which reached right down to the floor, and each strand of hair was so thick that a group of tiny mice babies played tunes upon it, as if they were playing a harp. Such sweetness and clarity came from that music. The finely dressed mouse walked elegantly towards Olivia, bowed, and presented his hand in a request for a dance. How wonderful it all was! They danced with such grace, and he looked upon her face with tenderness. "Come," he said after a while, "let me show you where we shall dine." With the music still playing in the background, he led her into a huge room where a table was laid out for hundreds of visitors. In the middle of it was a small fountain, pouring forth rich, thick chocolate into glasses of amber. Freshly picked icicles floated upon this exquisite drink, and fruits of every colour and size rolled round and round the table on a belt of golden strands. Then, at each sitting place, an octopus lay upon a plate of jelly. "Ugh," said Olivia. "I hope you don't expect me to eat that." "You eat only what you wish for. What this table is saying to you is, there are delicious things in existence, but there may be nasty things too. So it is your choice, and only you can answer for that decision. But also that there is another world where the small creatures exist who deserve respect, are not to be trampled on or thrown away. And they are dining here tonight, but remember that you are the only human being here and our honoured guest. Please sit." There came a great bustling, buzzing, and humming. It was a deafening sound. A long parade of creatures walked around the very large table behind a most extraordinary-looking being. He wore a crown of silver and was dressed in a bright yellow satin garment, with a train which seemed to go on for ever and ever. He took his place at the top of the table, and as each creature found their sitting place, they turned and bowed to him. "Who is he, Mouse?" asked Olivia quietly. Mouse put his hand to his mouth and said, "Shh! He is a very important being. He looks after the small creatures and protects them with his wisdom, wings, and his stings." "Sit, fellow creatures, friends," shouted the being. The room fell into silence, and the being threw his glance and words towards Olivia and Mouse, who was sat at the far end of the table. "Aha! There you are. Welcome, human. I am Sir Wasp Bee Fly, very eccentric, very large, and very hungry. By the way, you don't eat the octopus. They use their tentacles to reach the food for you, so be good to them. Well, eat, eat, eat," Sir Waspy Fly ordered. Olivia thanked him kindly, and it had occurred to her that he was made up of a wasp, a bee, and a fly anatomically. The other creatures were mice, rats, millipedes, worms, voles, flies, ladybirds, and oh, so many different creatures were they. But what a happy gathering it was! One little ladybird was so entranced by Olivia's golden hair that she lifted her wings and flew towards her and landed on her head. "Hello, golden-haired human. How wonderfully beautiful you are," cried the ladybird, stuttering. "Oh, thank you," said Olivia, "and I love your red and pink spotted wings." "Yes, they're the latest colours, you know. We don't have white anymore." And off she flew, leaving Olivia giggling away to the mouse. The only trouble was, every creature in the room decided that they wanted to sit on Olivia's head. It was a nightmare. They were creeping, crawling, whizzing, slithering, and flying towards her. "Help, Mouse!" shouted Olivia, fighting her way through the slime, wetness, and stickiness. She could see Sir Waspy Fly rising upwards and heading in her direction, his wings spread widely. "This way, human, quickly!" cried Mouse. He grabbed her by the arm and, lifting a floorboard, pulled her down into the cellar of the house, closing the floorboard behind them. "Follow me," he said with an anxious voice. Olivia ran after him, turning this way and that, with her heart pounding like a drum. At the end of a corridor, Olivia could see a doorway leading out into a magical, mystical garden, strewn with flowers of every shape and colour. In the middle stood a hot air balloon, striped and huge. Flames, fierce but urgent, flared upwards into it. "Climb in, quick, quick!" cried Mouse. They could hear the creatures chasing them. The magnificent balloon rose in all its glory skyward, floating like a splendid bird of fire. Olivia pointed and shouted, "Look, Mouse, it's my home! It seems so small. It's so peaceful up here, and the moon is so beautiful. But I must go home now. I don't want to fly far away. Please take me home." Oh no, it's Waspy Fly. He's flying towards us. Hold tight, human, cried Mouse. Time to go home, human. Ha 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 ha, screamed Waspy, his wings whirring madly. Suddenly, his great sting spear shot out and pierced the great balloon. There was a huge explosion, so loud that the moon covered her face with dark clouds. Olivia felt herself falling, and she could see Mouse whirring away into the distance, calling, "It was great fun, wasn't it, Olivia? Olivia, Olivia. Olivia, dear, wake up! Happy birthday! Are you all right? You look a little odd. Look, dear." Mother pointed to the corner of Olivia's bedroom. "We have a surprise for you." Olivia jumped out of her bed, a little bewildered and dazed, but she ran to the blanket covering her birthday present. She pulled it off, and with great excitement, there, to her horror though, was the doll's house from the skip, the one in her dream. "Oh, no, not a doll's house!" cried Olivia. "What?" said Mother, flabbergasted. "Do you know what, Mummy and Daddy? The best present you could give me is to give away all of my doll's houses to less fortunate children. That would make me really happy." And as they turned to go out of the room to have some cake, Olivia heard a squeak from the doorway of the doll's house, and there stood Montford Mouse, who said, "It was great knowing you, kid." And with a wink and a twinkle in his eye, he was gone. What a kind girl Olivia was to give away all of her doll's houses to the less fortunate children. But I can understand why after her adventure. I have one at home that I have had for, 30 years. It's lovely, and I wouldn't part with it for the world. Montford Mouse has fallen asleep, and here is Olivia, who has come to take him home with her. Hello, Olivia. Welcome.
Hi, Hetty. Thank you for finding him. He's always disappearing, like he did in the story. Listen, he's snoring. I better put the lid on, as the box does have air holes in it, and he might run away. There, he's safe now.
Can you just lift the lid for a second so that I can stroke him and say goodbye?
Of course. Oh no, he's disappeared again. Montford, where are you?
Well, my lovely children, whilst Olivia tries to retrieve Montford, I'd like to tell you that our next story in 2 weeks' time is called Aria, the Operatic Nightingale. So until then, have lovely dreams. Keep on listening. Be happy. But most of all, be good.
Sound Vault.